Hello students, this is the second part of our video lecture on Catherine Mansfield. In this lecture, we'll discuss the story A Cup of Tea. Catherine Mansfield, as we discussed yesterday, has written various collections of short stories, which include In German Pension, written in 1911, Bliss in 1920, The Guardian Party in 1922, The Dove's Nest in 1923, Something Childish 1924. Apart from these stories, her letters were also published posthumously, which were of use in evaluation of her stories. In the story which we are going to study, this is about a rich and well-educated woman. This story, that is A Cup of Tea, was first published in 1922 in a storyteller, and then later it appeared in her collection of stories, The Dove's Nest and Other Stories in 1923. Rosemary Fell is a young, brilliant, and extremely modern and extravagant lady. She is exquisitely well dressed, amazingly well read, in the newest of the new books. That means Rosemary Fell is from a very posh, rich family. Though in the very beginning itself, the author hints that she is not very beautiful. She was married 2 years back with Philip. Philip Fell was her husband. Her husband is absolutely rich and he almost adores her. Even though, the author hints that she is not beautiful, but she is well read. One of the most favorite authors of Rosemary Fell has been the Russian writer Dostoevsky. Whenever she goes for purchasing, she goes to the costliest shops in the city. And whenever she wants to buy something, she buys in bulk, that is in plenty. She does not care for, the money that she is going to spend on a particular thing. She will first make a choice, she will take it, and she will pay and be back to her home. In the sense, she is extravagant in nature. She is not a miser one. At one point, we find that she goes to a flower shop from where she buys various bouquets and soaps. That also mm, in plenty of numbers. Again, at one place, we find the example of her extravagance and richness. That is, when she goes on an antique shop at Curzon Street, where she likes a velvet box. That velvet box is too costly. But whenever and wherever she goes, the shopkeepers and their attendants are enthusiastic to show her the items in their shops because she is not going to bargain anything. She will pay whatever charge is made for that particular item. So she is of such a nature. When she is coming out from the antique shop, she come across a girl named Mrs. Smith, who comes to her and asks for the price of a cup of tea. She is such a rich lady that she cannot think of that one cannot have the amount for buying a simple a cup of tea. Here, if we recall, the author creates the two class. The one class that is represented by Rosemary Fail, that is rich, posh, wealthy, and the another is just like a street girl, Miss Smith, who represents the downtrodden, the weak, and those who are have-nots class. Then the girl asks, "Would you let me have the price of a cup of tea?" Then these words, something goes out of her mind that even the people can seek for the price of a cup of tea. All of a sudden, she is reminded of something of the charity. If she can do something for this girl, she will become famous in society. She will become, you can say, she will be noticed by one and all. And she is reminded of the characters in Dostoevsky's works. There came some idea to her mind. No, and that is the philanthropic idea that she likes to take the girl to her home. And she is thrilled by this idea that she will be doing something philanthropic that might not being done in her society, or you can say in the area where she has been living. So in a way, she will translate what is happening in a fiction or in a novel by serving a poor and downtrodden girl. Then with this aim, she brings her to her home there. This girl Smith is dazzled by seeing this palatial house of Rosemary Fail. The girl was rather startled to see, the house and the interior of this rich and posh lady. For initially, she thought when she asked her to come to her house, she was afraid that she may hand over her to the police. But what happens at one point, Catherine Mansfield writes, hungry people are easily led. When one is hungry, then the first thing that they want, that they must have something to eat. So she was more than kind to her. Rosemary was more than kind to her. She was going to prove to this girl that wonderful things can happen in life. The story of fairy godmothers can be true. And the rich people had hearts and women were sisters. These are the ideas that comes to her mind. And that's why she wants to prove these things. She wants to, help this girl. And that's why she takes her to her home. Smith, as we have discussed, that she was overwhelmed or dazzled to see this grand palace of Rosemary Fail. Then Rosemary Fail was well treated by, Mrs. Smith was well treated by Rosemary Fail. She offered her plenty of tea brandy, sandwiches, bread, and butter, irrespective of what her servants will think about her, because she herself served this girl. In the meantime, her husband Philip comes and he's surprised to see this creature. I mean, this girl who is dirty and simply a skeleton in her house, and she is being well served and, you can say, treated by his wife, Rosemary. Then Rosemary introduces Smith to her husband. At this point, her husband calls her to the library room and he disapproves her idea of bringing her to her house. I mean, he finds that she is a stranger and she does not, I mean, in the status of his house, she does not deserve to be a guest. And that's why he is irritated and he does not approve the idea of keeping her in his house. Then, I mean, Rosemary, to some extent, I mean, fights with him and says that you are quite mad. Not Rosemary, rather, but Philip said that you have gone mad and this can't be done. Then, after that, she leaves the house, she leaves the room. Again, Philip, I mean, plays his last and most successful trick. That is, he appreciates the beauty of Miss Smith by saying that she is so astonishingly pretty, absolutely lovely, and he is bowled over. And he asks that, is Mrs. Smith going to dine with us tonight? This appreciation of her beauty and this of his hope that he will dine with them tonight creates a sense of insecurity in the mind of Rosemary Fail. She feels insecure that, I mean, the presence of Rosemary Fail may lead her to her displacement. And that's why, I mean, this psychology was well, women's psychology was well exploited by Philip. That's why he played the trick of appreciating the beauty of Miss Smith. But the sense of insecurity and jealousy comes to her mind. That is, to Rosemary failed. And this, or her romantic idea of helping this girl, no, in a philanthropic way, it simply evaporates with a mere sense of jealousy. All that what she promised or idealized idea had in her mind to serve this girl, and this will bring name and fame to her, I mean, shattered away. And she goes to the room, brings some money, and dispatches this girl from her house. And then again she moves to Philip, her husband, and says that she is not going to dine with them because she had some other engagements. No, C actually hid the, I mean, reason why she actually dispatched her. And this is how, I mean, all her romantic idea of helping this girl is gone. Now, there are the two classes we find. The one is represented by Rosemary Fail, that is very rich, posh, wealthy, educated, whereas the other class is represented by uh, Miss Smith. During the time this story was written, this class consciousness was was at its peak in New Zealand, and this is how, I mean, Catherine has exploited that theme in the story. She actually wanted to compensate her not being so beautiful by trying to hide her appearance with the money, mind, and heart. And that's the reason he brought her. But all of a sudden, when the sense of insecurity and jealousy come to her mind, her attitude changes, her mentality changes, and she is not willing to keep the lady in her house. The story is not simply about a cup of tea. Rather, a cup of tea introduces, or you can say makes the writers to go into the psyche of her protagonist, that is Rosemary Fail. So there are various themes which have been uh, employed in this story. I mean, a cup of tea is a small thing, but through this small thing, the writer, as it is there with the most of the modern writers, that they do not describe much the settings and background, but rather they peep into the psychology or the inner landscape of the characters. And Rose, here Catherine Mansfield Park is doing the same thing. So within the surface of this uh, story, we find a very serious and completive themes. These themes are the class consciousness, feminism, materialism, insecurity, and jealousy. The class consciousness is very much obvious when, I mean, Phillips sees that what sort of girl Smith is. She does not belong to his status or rank, and that's why he disapproves the idea of Rosemary Fail to keep this girl to her house, to his house. Moreover, I mean, this distinction of, you can say, the class consciousness is not a new one. If we read, I mean, Marx, we find the economic differences as a background for the, you can say, differentiation is in class consciousness. That's why Phillips finds that this cannot happen. No, this stranger cannot be kept to his house. And that's why this thing is realized by even Rosemary Fail, and she dispatches the girl. Then materialism is another aspect. If we go to again to the class consciousness, then we find that these two things, I mean, a cup of tea is a very small thing. No, I mean, those who have not, and simply a high amount is to be paid for this velvet box that represents the rich class. So the author finds that there cannot be the comparison between these two classes. Again, we see that there is a uh, case of appearance and reality also. Rosemary Fail shows that she wants to help the poor. She wants to translate no what is fantasy that she reads in the various novels and literature, and she wants to translate those into action. But when it comes to the realization of such fantasy by helping this poor girl, she fails to do so. So that's why there is again a difference in reality and appearance of the characters. This sense of insecurity and jealousy is also an important theme of this story. Rosemary Fail is insecure and feels jealousy when her husband appreciates the beauty of Miss Smith. Though he plays the trick, but even this thing is enough for Rosemary Fail that she might be displaced with this girl. So that's why there is a sense of insecurity and jealousy. And this actually shatters all the dreams that she had to help this poor girl. So um, Catherine Mansfield, though with she lived a very short life, yet her contribution to English literature is well appreciable. She made enormous mark on English short story, illuminate subtle reality of personal relationships and class division. These things we find that is very much expressed and found in this story. So in a way, we can find that there is realism, truthfulness, and a very realistic presentation of life in the story of Catherine Mansfield, that is a cup of tea. Apart from this, we have to see or look into the opinions of the critics about this story and this writer. There has been a very renowned critic, Robert Littell. He praised her ability to evoke moods and feelings. Though, her stories' titles are very short or very insignificant, like a cup of tea, a fly, but with even in such titles, a story, she evokes the moods and feelings of her characters, particularly the protagonist. Then another critic, Claire Tomlin, he says that her writing is original, both in technique and the way she chose to live in her life. In the story that we find there is something of feminism also. If we look into the personal life of Catherine, we find that she had various affairs with the people. Ultimately, she married the renowned critic of England, John Middleton Murray. That is, she wanted the freedom of woman. She has been related to, in a way, I mean, or she has been uh, vocal to the freedom of women, maybe, I mean, in their choices and the privacy of life that they live. And they must be at par with the men. So she is modernist in her writing. She is an innovator and she is experimental in writing her story. Other critics assessed her contribution to her, I mean, literary modernism, how she changed about the technique and style of the story. Her stories are not that much conventional that we find in previous writers. The modernist writers, they distance themselves from the Victorian and Edwardian predecessors. They repudiated the third person narration, traditional way of writing, and they here we find the third person limited narration. No, they preferred it to represent their characters through their thoughts, memories, and you can say their inner landscape. One thing is very much obvious that in her story or in her writing, Catherine Mansfield is immensely influenced by the Russian writers Chekhov, where, I mean, she shares his view of writing to have the concern with the psychology of her characters. At one time, Catherine Mansfield herself says, the plot of my stories leave me, the plot of my story leave me perfectly cold. They tend to begin at the heart of the situation. The traditional story may have a different pattern of narration, but the modern stories usually they begin at at the middle or maybe at even the heart of the story. So this is the narrative technique of the conventional story writers and the modernist story writers are different. So whenever we have to study Catherine Mansfield's story, we must look into her powerful language that she used in her story. It is sometimes uh, we find the dialogues, attractive dialogues, and interaction between the characters are the most strong part of her writing. Her language, it may not be so simple, but it has been written in a very different and you can say very powerful way. She is able to convey her messages or the ideas through various technical devices that she uses. The one we find that is epiphany, and this is the key aspect of the modernist writers. Then these modernist writers are less concerned with the nature than on the inner self and consciousness of the characters. They may not be so positive in their attitude, but their writing definitely, I mean, captures the psychology and the mind of their characters or the protagonists nature and character. They delve deep into the psychology of those characters. And in this story, Catherine Mansfield Park has adopted all these principles. And that's why, I mean, A Cup of Tea is one of the most read short stories of Catherine Mansfield Park. Thank you. In the next video lecture, we will discuss the another story, that is Fly, written by Catherine Mansfield Park. Thank you.